Welcome to another episode of Healing Through Love. Each week, we share ideas, experiences, and resources to increase the awareness of domestic and family violence and to empower survivors to grow and thrive. We talk with experts who share their advice, or with people who have experienced abuse, no matter where they are on their journey. This is all about healing through love. And now, here are your hosts, Charlene Lynch and Rose Davidson.
The Healing Through Love podcast with Charlene Lynch and Rose Davidson. Anita Nevar delves into the compelling journey of survival and resilience beyond the clutches of occult and domestic violence in episode 70.
And how did you get into the celebrity status space? Like, is there a story there that, proportioned you to that? Like, how do you get there from where you're just an artist?
Look, I've been an artist for 20 years now, so I'm coming up. I'm 49. So.
No, you
yes.
are. No, you're not.
So I'm nearly 50. So I started properly painting when I was 26. So I think it's just been the journey. What's actually happened is initially me painting for therapy just for me, and then people started seeing my work and loved it. My work would go out. Initially, I was just exhibiting in cafes, and then before I knew it, I was exhibiting in bigger spaces, and then people were headhunting me. Like my artwork ended up on the Big Brother TV series. One of the art directors had contacted me and said they wanted to put artwork on the show, on the set.
The Healing Through Love podcast with Charlene Lynch and Rose Davidson.
Hello and welcome to the Healing Through Love podcast. I'm your host, Charlene Lynch from charlenelynch.com. Healing Through Love is here to help victims and survivors of domestic and family violence find their way back to living a more fulfilling and meaningful life. We interview experts and survivors who share their personal stories and offer advice to those who've experienced abuse, no matter where they are on the healing journey. As well as the Healing Through Love podcast, we also hold annual Pamper Days here in Adelaide, South Australia, for survivors of family and domestic violence survivors. We have local businesses come together to organise and offer their services for a much-needed day of pampering. Think day spa on steroids. And we're looking for organisations that have similar values. If you're interested and you're curious, please reach out and have a conversation with us. We're very excited that this year in May, Healing Through Love, a small Adelaide-based business, has gone global. And just this week, we've started our global training, helping businesses all around the world hold annual Pamper Days in their local vicinity, where they're gathering their 20-odd practitioners together to pay it forward and make a difference. So together, we are shifting awareness in and around family violence, family and domestic violence, and having those much-needed conversations on the subject. Every week we have an amazing guest, and this week is no different. We have a super amazing guest. In fact, we have a celebrity in our midst. Hello, Anita is here. She's got a fascinating story, and we are going to dive into that. She is a celebrity artist. She is known for her bold stance and authentic self-expression. You can see this in her artwork, and we'll make sure we've got links here in the show notes so that you can dive in and have a look. They are quite spectacular. She understands how it is to feel and hide behind the mask, alienated by her identity and imprisoned by fear and shame. Raised in a doomsday cult, she was forced to inhabit a world where sexual repression and domestic violence were daily norms. Wow, we need to know more. Please explain. Hi, Anita, how are you?
Hi, Charlene. I'm fabulous. It's wonderful to be here with you. Big love to you too.
Wow, what a story. Like, wow, something you read about in the magazines and something you see, on the television. But wow, are you okay to share some aspects of that growth experience for you?
I would love to share some of that too. Definitely. If it can help anybody listening on the other end, I'm happy to contribute what my story and how I went from being in that cold and domestic violence to the life I have now.
So were you born in that environment, or is this something that happened later on in life?
Yeah, I was raised in it. So I was only young. I was around 4 or 5 from memory, and mum and dad had brought us into this environment wanting a better life because they had grown up in poverty and broken homes themselves. And when the cult came along and offered them, dangled the carrot, they thought that that was something that was going to make their lives better and our lives better as a family. So, yeah, it was very early on in the piece for me growing up in that.
Wow. And so there must have been a time when when did you have an awakening? When did you realize this wasn't like how things were? And how did you escape that?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because when you are brought up in something like that, it takes a while for you to actually realize there's a whole other world outside and that this is not the norm. And it was for me, it was coming into my teenage years because that's when, when you're starting to express yourself and find yourself, you're not this little kid running around and just having fun with your friends. You're starting to evolve and you're starting to feel things and you're starting to realize that you're a sexual being. And so for me, it was all the restrictions within the cult. I wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend and no sex before marriage, and we weren't allowed to be friends with anybody outside the cult. And so this rebellious teenager in me just wanted to experience life, but was too scared to do it because we were always told that if we left, that because it was a doomsday cult, we would die with the rest of the world when Armageddon came. So my awakening was in teenage years, but I didn't leave until I was in my mid-20s. So in that time, I'd gotten married in the cult, and that's when the domestic violence happened. So I went through a series of different experiences up until the point I ran away. And the domestic violence, because I married somebody in the cult and it was 8 years, like I had young children, and it was 8 years of enduring that. That was the wake up call for me to actually get out and run away. So the domestic violence was the catalyst for me escaping absolutely everything.
Okay, so it was like your awakening. So
Yeah.
you had children whilst you were there in the cold?
Yes. So I was married when I was 19, first baby at 20, second baby at 21. And so within that environment, once you're married, there is no divorce. You just, even if you're in a situation of domestic violence, it is swept under the carpet. You just get on with it. And you're married, so you just put up with whatever's going on, and there's nobody there to help you.
So do they do in-house schooling? Or was the schooling in-house, or was the schooling, did you go to a normal school?
Yeah, not with this one. So we had like a little bit of contact with the outside world because we were in a normal school, but we were always told that anybody outside in that world was evil. So we went about our daily life. Like most of the time we were doing stuff with the cult, but when we were in the outside world, we were in fear of people and in fear of things going on around us because we had always been indoctrinated that everybody outside was evil. So you would want to quickly get back in and not have anything to do with anybody. You'd come home from school and you'd have nothing to do with anybody at school because we just weren't allowed and we were scared of them anyway.
So an obvious question, was it faith-based?
Yes, yes. So it's a religious cult. And it's huge. I mean, they're all over the world. There's millions of them. And I won't say who it is, but a lot of people actually don't realize it's a cult, but it's not until you're on the inside and you've got all the rules and restrictions and everything that's happening around you and the way that they, religion is supposed to be about love, but it was actually judgment and fear, and it was preaching against love when I look at it, because we were told to fear everybody outside. So that's not love.
No.
It was such a contradiction. It was an experience, I must say.
So we've got a lot in common. I too lived in a commune. However, it was a Christian commune, and it was a different affair. So like, we were encouraged to do community work, to do outreach, to help people on their farms, and so it was a different setup. Yes, and I understand that secular, that when everyone comes home, everyone's in that same group, and I understand that, but from a different view. Wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
now you're out the other side of that, and now you are. So, how did you get this connection between taking all of this pain and all of this constriction into this level of expansion?
So when I left, because my children were only young, they were under 5 years old, and I had to leave. I had to run away because I was scared that if I didn't do it the way that I did it and just disappear, that my husband probably would have killed me or harmed me or taken the children. So I completely disappeared, and I threw myself into this world, the outside world, which is where we are now. And because I'd always been told it was evil, I was scared of it at first. But for me at the time, I was in such a bad way being in the cult, I was willing to take the risk. So once I was out and I saw that I was safe, I then started to create this new world for myself. And I started to meet new people, and I started to see that everything was okay. And I started to just build myself back up. So it was a lot of inner, deep diving, getting to know myself, not again but for the first time, and just rediscovering life really, and reconnecting. So it wasn't, and it was a long journey. It took about 10 years for me to get to a space where I wasn't scared, where I knew who I was, where I loved myself, where I had a good group of people, a good community, and I could then just get on with enjoying my life. So yeah, it was a process.
Wow. And at what point in your life did you realize that you were a gifted artist? It surely isn't something that happens by accident. There must have been some passion there.
Yeah, there was. And I was always an artist, even as a kid. So my first memories are just, I would enter all the coloring competitions I could find. I would always be drawing, creating, just anything I could get my hands on that I could cut up, or it was always there. But because of my experience in the cult and being married and not being able to pursue in the domestic violence situation and never being able to pursue that, when I came out, it was a natural progression. I just started to really explore who I was through the art. And that's where, because a lot of my work is around sexual empowerment, because I was so repressed growing up in my situation, I found that my art was a really good way of me healing. It was therapy, because the things that I couldn't say or couldn't express came out onto the canvas. So being creative initially as a child, and that naturally being there, it was then just, again, a natural progression. But me, not just doing it for fun, it was for something that was really cathartic.
So it was healing, the whole paint
Yeah.
process, drawing process. It was a healing process.
Yeah, absolutely. And, after years of healing and painting and getting all this stuff out that I couldn't say or couldn't express, it was really interesting, because once my healing had happened, I was then able to help other people with their healing. So it's this beautiful thing that I look at now, that I would never change the experience I had going through what I did, because it's turned me into a better person, a bigger person, a more loving person. And it's helped me through my art help other people as well. So that's huge.
That is. So is it like art therapy? So I hear that term a lot. Is it something similar to that you offer with your people that you help?
Yeah. Look, I don't do art therapy per se, but it becomes art therapy, because I'll do, say, private commissions. Somebody somebody who's scared and wearing masks and doesn't want to really, can't express themselves, but wants to. when I do a commission for somebody like that and they see themselves on a canvas, it's like this release. It allows them to drop the mask and to just be who they really want to be. So it's therapy without doing art therapy, if that makes sense.
And so your style is very unique. It's very specific, and it just screams you. And like they're just standalone pieces. So these are obviously commissions that people have in their lounge rooms and in places that other people can view them, because they're arty. I don't have another word for it, but they're arty. Is there a famous artist or a style that you've been inspired by to use? So I don't even know enough about art to be able to use the right language, but I just see that it's so specific. It looks like those Campbell's cans. Like, who's the guy that does the Campbell's?
Andy Warhol.
Yeah, so it sort of screams a little bit of Eddie. Andy Warhol. So is there someone else, or are there others that have inspired you to be who you are?
Look, growing up the way that I did and not being ejected from that cult world until I was in my mid-25, in my mid-20s, sorry, I didn't know anything about the art world, or I didn't, celebrity, nothing. We were so completely sheltered. And so when I came out and I started painting what I didn't discover Andy Warhol until years after I was painting what I was painting, but then really resonated with his work. So I would have to say that my work is along the line of Andy Warhol, but it wasn't initially inspired by him. So
just you're on the same frequency as him.
Yeah, so. It must be. And I don't know where that style comes from, because a lot of people have asked me, how do you get your inspiration and where does that style come from? I have no idea. It's just there. It just comes out, and I'll see something and I just immediately have to paint it. So, but yeah, look, Andy Warhol is definitely my fave. If I can be the next Andy Warhol.
I can see it. Didn't know the name, but I could see it.
Yeah.
So, like, something that I've always loved to do is to go to art exhibitions and also to the art museum and just sort of surround myself. Don't know any of the fancy names, but I just love to just look at it and just feel into the paintings. Like, is that, as an artist, is that something that you do, or is that for just us who are not artists?
No, exactly the same. So I think anything creative like that, whether it's art, whether it's music, it makes you feel something. And this is what I really love about that creative journey, is when you have come from something like we have, and your listeners have, having something creative to make you feel something so deep is so freaking powerful. It's not funny. So yeah, that's what I love about it the most.
I love it. So you've got a specific style of art. You've used it for yourself for healing, and others still find this healing themselves because they're taking off the mask. And how did you get into the celebrity status space? Like, is there a story there that, proportioned you to that? Like, how do you get there from where you're just an artist?
Look, I've been an artist for 20 years now, so I'm 49. So
no, you are.
No,
you're not.
So I'm nearly 50. So I started properly painting when I was 26. So I think it's just been the journey. What's actually happened is, initially me painting for therapy, just for me, and then people started seeing my work and loved it. My work would go out. Initially, I was just exhibiting in cafes, and then before I knew it, I was exhibiting in bigger spaces, and then people were headhunting me. Like, my artwork ended up on the Big Brother TV series. One of the art directors had contacted me and said they wanted to put artwork on the show, on the set. And I think what's happened also through my deep dive, because I do a lot of self-development work. I'm a big woo-woo junkie. Love it. And I just find I connect with people that really align. And so as my profile and my artwork has gotten out bigger and bigger, and I've entered bigger stages, and because way back when, I didn't have any self-worth, or I didn't believe in myself. I didn't love myself. But through the journey, I've become powerful. And this is what I love when people do this and can tap into this. you see how beautiful you are and you radiate love. And so you meet people on this journey that are doing amazing things in the world. So just, from event to event, I start meeting amazing people. We start aligning and connecting. We both share, we're all sharing amazing things in the world. And that's how I ended up where I am. And it just gets bigger and better all the time. So I love it.
I can see how the art can help you when you are expanding your self-esteem, because it's actually validation. So you make something, it's beautiful, you get feedback on that, something that's inside you've now taken outside, others can see it, and then you're getting feedback on it, and now your self-worth, your self-esteem, it's expanded. And if you keep that journey up, the only way is up, it's not down. So
yeah,
I suppose for me, the question is for people who don't have that outside validation, where they don't have a particular gift of creative artwork or written word or anything like that, how do we help them get that level of validation so that they can see their beauty inside, so that they can move forward as well? If we can answer that question, I reckon we can solve all of the challenges of being.
Yeah, I know. Look, if my journey aside and being where I am and meeting these people in this celebrity world and doing bigger things like that, if I was to take that all away and go back to the grassroots, if I wasn't an artist, what would be significant? I think for the self-development, the empowering yourself, find a community or find something that you can dive into to tap into it's an inner job. Okay, it's our inner reality. So find something that you can believe in and have others believe in you, so that and it's a slow process, it doesn't happen overnight, but just keep investing in yourself, whether you're creative or not, because initially you can't see that you're beautiful and you're loved, and especially being through a domestic violence situation, because it strips you of everything. But if you keep going and you keep investing in yourself and you surround yourself with the right people, one day you wake up and the world is so beautiful and you know who you are, and it's like you're divinely guided to where you need to be, whether you're creative or not.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And that is still validation. So it's validation by the people around you, because you're stretching, you're moving, you're expanding on a daily basis, and they can see it and you can see it. And although change does meet resistance, they're still helping you as long as you're surrounded by a community of people that want good for you and to help you move forward. So yeah, it is true. Proximity is power. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love your work. Now tell us a little bit more about the commission work. How does that work and who is it for?
So my commission work is for anybody. So even though a lot of my clientele is celebrity, I'm not just a celebrity artist. So I go to do a lot of exhibitions and I rove around. I don't generally do like the gallery scene. I'm more sort of your, what would I call? Someone called me an art anarchist once. A bit rogue. So, I do like the alternative scenes. Like I'm in a lot of the LGBTQ spaces. I'll do Mardi Gras, King festivals, anything that promotes empowerment. So I meet a lot of general people. Yeah. People in the real world, not in celebrity Hollywood status, like that's a different world, but people in the real world who, just will come up to me and want me to paint them in something, in a style that means something to them. So my commissions are open to everybody. And the reason I'm so invested in commission work is because the very first commission I did was of myself, believe it or not, when I realized the power of it, because it was in a time that I wouldn't look at myself. I didn't want to look at myself in the mirror. I hate seeing myself in photographs. Like I was saying, I couldn't see the spark or the beauty in myself. And I ended up at an exhibition, even though I was still painting. I hadn't, dived into commissions or painting myself or other people. I was just painting other things that inspired me. And I met a photographer who was doing some photo shoots, and he said to me, look, I'm doing these photo shoots. I would love to get you into my studio. And we did this whole series of work. And I looked at those photos and I saw something about myself that I hadn't seen before. And one of the photos jumped out at me, and I immediately knew that I had to paint it. So my first commission was painting myself. And when I saw that painting on the wall and when I saw that photograph, some spark ignited. So everybody that has come along since that has got me to paint them, it is the same thing. It is like it opens up something in them that takes them to the next level.
That is,
I love it.
That is beautiful. And it is a piece of art, and it is something that you see, and it is on your own wall, and it is a talking point. So it's like having your self-esteem on the wall, like having your self-worth on the wall. And in that is validation. So I love it. That's fantastic. Oh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I love when I look at your art, the not mixing of the colors, so that there's lines between it, so there's no 50
solid
gray. It's like solid, and I like how when you look at them, that makes it three-dimensional, even though it's a solid color. And I don't know, there's something about it that really speaks to me. It's a very unique style that really screams the next level of art. So it's not just art for art's sake, itself is art. And so even if it wasn't the person that you recognized, just having that picture is it's beautiful to look at.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I love that you connect with it like that, because the reason the style that I paint, I put it down to two things. I love people. I love capturing the essence of people and seeing that. And look, I'm OCD about my lines, and that's why everything is like perfect. There's no splashing paint around with me. Like everything is a fine line.
I'm totally a recovering perfectionist. So
yeah, I'm a perfectionist with my art. I can let anything else go, but every millimeter has to be right on that painting.
Oh, I love it.
And I have this fascination with shapes. I don't know geometric shapes. I don't know where it came from, but you'll see in all of the backgrounds of all of my work, behind the person is some sort of geometric pattern going on. So when I put the two together, they just seem to work.
Well, I'm going with it's sacred geometry. So that's where I'm landing on this.
Yeah, exactly.
They're beautiful, stylized paintings on sacred geometry. That's where we're going.
Love it. I'll take that.
I love it. I love it. So, listeners, if you can get from the story today that there is hope at the end, and regardless of where you are on your journey of healing, know that if you lean into you and a proximity that supports you, everything is possible, and the answers are already inside of you, and we just need to help you get them out. I love it. I love it. And look, the paintings can definitely help. So we've got in the links in the bio and also the show notes for this opportunity to have a look at having these commission works done. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you do it from a photo as opposed to a sitting?
Yeah, so with the commissions, I actually hook up a proper professional photo shoot. So we chat first about types of styles and poses and what they want to get, the person wants to get out of it, how they want to look, how they want to express themselves. So it's a deep dive into capturing the essence of that person. And then we do a professional photo shoot. Out of that photo shoot, we pick a photo that we love, and then we just we'll go for it. I create something magnificent out of what that person loves.
I love that. I love that. I love that. And so, moving forward, what's there for you? What's next year and the year after? Where are you going? What are you doing? What's the big picture for you?
I'm actually heading to the USA, believe it or not. So yeah, I've because a lot of my clientele are over there, and it's in that Hollywood sort of celebrity arena. So I've decided that I will head out of Australia and I'll position myself over there for a little while. Might spend a few months in Italy. I'm Italian heritage, so I want to get a little studio somewhere out in Tuscany and just paint for a few months of the year. But I've got my autobiography on the go, so I'm halfway through that. I'd love to do and eventually a really big documentary, like a story about my life as well. So look, there's lots happening.
It sounds fascinating. It sounds absolutely fascinating. Wow, there's just so much to unpack here, and I'm excited just to be in your proximity. I can feel that you've been on a journey, and that you've done this with love, and that you hold no low frequency for what happened for you. For you rather than to you. That you've evolved, and you're out here making a difference for other people and showing them that with love, everything is possible.
Yeah.
And we've all got special gifts, and we can lean into them to heal and to also make a difference for other people. I love it. Have you got any closing words of wisdom for our audience?
Oh, look, it's the best thing I can say is that on the other side, so if there is a way out, believe in yourself, find the people that can support you, and invest in yourself. And it is about loving yourself, and you will, how can I say, not you will end up where you need to be, but you will be divinely led to a better life when you do trust and invest in yourself and have the right community.
I love it. I love that. Lean in and love and trust. Trust the process, that exactly what needs to happen will happen. And I love it. So thank you so much. Anita, it's been fantastic to come. I'm going to be now your biggest fan. I will be inappropriate talking to you. So that's okay too. It's been a privilege and a pleasure. And if you're listening today and you want to pay it forward and make a difference in this space, and you have a special gift, whether you can do a hand massage, or you're a hairdresser or a makeup, or if there's something that you can do to pay it forward, or even if you have organizational skills, reach out to us. We're currently in training to bring the Pamper Days to a global community so that we can shift awareness on family and domestic violence on this planet. Thank you. That's a bye from me and a bye from Anita.
Thanks, Charlene. Bye.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Healing Through Love. You can get further resources, see the show notes, or simply reach out to us via our website at htlaustralia.org. Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to your company next time on the Healing Through Love podcast.